way. They are not born again because Turiya is not a cause. The illusory snake, which has merged in the rope on the discrimination of the snake from the rope, does not reappear as before. That is what it is. Once you know the rope, there is no snake coming back again. Yes. To those who know the distinction between them, the men of dull or mediocre intellect, who still consider themselves as students of philosophy, who, having renounced the world, tread on the path of virtue, and who know the common features between the sounds and the quarters, as described above. To them, if meditated upon in a proper way, becomes a great help to the realization of Brahman. Same is indicated in the Karika later on. The three inferior stages of life. The second chapter, it will come. Third chapter. It is because soundless. Amatra. Matra means sound or syllable. Amatra, no sound, no syllable. Om cannot be expressed by any sound. The last part. It is relationless. Cannot be described as a substratum of three other sounds. Sound points out by contrast the soundless Om. Sound ends in soundlessness. All sounds must, at some time or other, merge in soundlessness. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, strike a gong. Big sound starts. Slowly merges into the soundless. This Amatra Om is identical with Turiya-Atman. Says, all bliss. In the Vedas, Rig Veda, there is a beautiful analysis of sound. What wonderful people they were. Sound has 4 dimensions. The grossest dimension is uttered speech. The other 3 dimensions are seen only by the yogis. The earlier part. Para is the first part of sound, which is absolutely indistinguishable from the infinite. Pashyanti, slightly more gross. Madhyama, more gross. And last is Vaikari, uttered speech. The speech before you utter passes through 3 states. But that aspect of the speech only can be seen by yogis. Others can see only uttered speech. That is why Swami Brahmananda, Swami Turiyananda, they lived months together. The same room in Vrindavan. You get a little in the book on Sharadananda. Never talked to each other. But they were infinitely accord with each other. No talking is necessary. When talking is necessary, we are at the grossest level. That's why in a civilization, where talking keeps up human relationship, if you cease to talk, friendship breaks. Because we are at a very gross level of human communication. At a higher level, not much talking is necessary. The heart knows the heart. The mind of the mother and the baby, not through talk, but through mere feeling communication. Very subtle it is. This capacity we are losing in civilization. That's why chattering is necessary in civilization, to keep up human relationship. Constant chattering. Husband and wife must chatter all the time. Otherwise it will be cruelty, they will say. You have not talked, you have been cruel to me. Finished. The grossest human relationship is called Vaikari. But you are still on it because you don't know there is a higher one. There is a mental communication. It is the first 3. Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama. 3 words. Extremely subtle. Modern sonics can understand it. So, uttered sound. How many low sounds are there? Very, very low sounds are there. You see that? Which your ears cannot catch. But they are sound. High sound, low sound. Both are there. High pitch, low pitch. Then, you can put the light, yes. Yes. Omkaram padasho vidyat. Pada matra na samsheha. Omkaram padasho jnatva. na kinchidapi chintayet. The meaning of Om should be known quarter by quarter. A, U, Ma. There is no doubt that quarters are the same sounds or letters. That is, waking self is A, dream self is U, sleep self is Ma. The transcendent is that amatra, soundless Om. Having grasped the meaning of Omkara, nothing else should be thought of in meditation. This is for meditation. Omkara should be known along with the quarters, Shankara says. Yunjita pranave cheta. Pranavo brahma nirbhayam. Pranave nitya yuktasya. Nabhayam vidyate kvachit. The mind should be unified with the sacred syllable Om. For Om is Brahman, the ever fearless. He who is always unified with Om knows no fear whatever. Pranavo hyaparam Brahma. Pranavascha param smataha. Parasmrataha. Apurvo anantaro abhahyo. Anapara pranavo avyayaha. The sacred syllable Om is verily the lower Brahman. It is also the higher Brahman, meaning personal God, impersonal God. Om is without beginning, unique, without anything outside itself, unrelated to any effect, and therefore changeless. Om is both lower Brahman, higher Brahman. Vedanta uses the word lower Brahman, higher Brahman, para Brahman, apara Brahman. We call it personal God, impersonal God. Both are the same. God is one. Personal, impersonal, unity. And Om sounds, Om is for both. From the higher standpoint, sounds and quarters disappear in soundless Om. It is verily the same as the Supreme Brahman. It is without cause, because no cause can be predicated of it. It is unique, because nothing else belonging to any other species separated from it exists. Similarly, nothing else exists outside it. Further, not related to any effect. It is without cause, exists everywhere, inside and outside, like salt in the water of the ocean. Immersed, so-called completely, any part of the water you take, it's all salt. Salt has disappeared, only ocean remains. Sarvasya pranavo hyadi madhyam antas tathaivacha evam hi pranavam jnatva vyashnute tadanantaram. Om is verily the beginning, the middle, and the end of all. Knowing Om as such, one without doubt attains immediately to that supreme reality. Yes. Pranavam Hishwaram Vidyat Sarvasya Hriti Samsthitam Sarvavyapinam Omkaram Matva Dhiro Nashojati. Know Om to be the Ishvara, the Lord, ever present in the mind of all. Man of discrimination, realizing Om as all-pervading, does not grieve. Yes. Last sloka. Amatro anantamatrascha Vaidasya upashamas shivaha Omkaro vidito yena Samanir netaro yanaha. One who has known Om, which is soundless and of infinite sounds, which is ever peaceful on account of negation of all duality in it, is the real sage and none other. Amatra, soundless Om, signifies Turiya. Matra means measure. Mu, to measure, it says. Even the English word measure comes from mu. Matra. Minoti, minati. That which has infinite measure or magnitude is called Ananda Matra. Brahman is not only without measure, but it is infinite measure. You can treat it as infinitely small, infinitely big. That's the nature of Brahman. Smaller than an atom, bigger than the universe, the Upanishads said. That is to say, it's not possible to determine its extension or measure by pointing to this or that. It is ever peaceful on account of his being the negation of all duality. He who knows Om as explained above is a real sage because he has realized the nature of that supreme reality. So no one else, though he may be an expert in the knowledge of the scriptures, is a sage. Mere scholar is not a sage. Who has realized this truth, he is the sage. Here ends the first chapter of Gaudapada's Karika with a commentary of Shankaracharya. This is the what you call Agama Prakarana section dealing with the text of the Veda. Agama. So we depend upon the text of the Veda. In the next book, without the Veda, sheer rational investigation into experience establish the same truth. That is the second one. Salutations to Brahman. What is that? 5 o'clock now. Just 1 hour. We started at 59, ended at 59, just 1 hour. See, V. Subramania's note in the very first opening page of the book, before forward. Note, the unique feature of Mandukya lies in this, that while all the other Upanishads deal with the several phases of Vedanta, such as religion, theology, scholasticism, mysticism, science, metaphysics, and philosophy, Mandukya deals exclusively with philosophy as defined by the most modern authorities. The 3 fundamental problems of philosophy, according to this special treatise, are 1. The nature of the external or material and the internal mental worlds, nature of consciousness, and the meaning of causality. Each of these subjects is dealt with in a chapter. The first chapter sums up the whole at the very commencement. There is nothing more for philosophy to do. While it shows how the most advanced modern sciences and modern philosophies are approaching its conclusions, it gives to the world of our own times its central doctrine that partial data give partial truth, whereas the totality of data alone gives the full truth. The totality of data we have only when the 3 states of waking, dream, and deep sleep are coordinated for investigation. Endless will be the systems of philosophy if based on the waking state only. Above all, inasmuch as this philosophy holds that mere satisfaction is no criterion of truth, it satisfies me. There is no criterion. Even a falsity can satisfy. The best preparation for a study of Vedanta is a training and scientific method, but with a determination to get at the very end, to stop not till the goal is reached. V. Subramania Iyer, VSI, that is his brief, the preface tells something more about this, how he came to this philosophy, V. Subramania, the end of the last century, that time. The page 2, you see, forward. Of 2 such renowned personages of our day, one was my most revered guru, the late Sachidananda Narasimha Bharata Swami of Sringeri, who introduced me to the study of these Karikas, at whose feet I had the inestimable privilege of sitting as a pupil. He was a contemporary of Vivekananda, the Shankaracharya of Sringeri. People treat him as a man of realization, jnani, and all that. A short account of my first lesson in Gaudapada may not be considered irrelevant by the reader. The very first day I paid my respect to the Swami, more than 40 years ago. 40 means in the end of the last century. I started thus. Follower of every religion thinks that his faith, his scripture, or his interpretation of it reveals the highest truth, that they are therefore superior to other faiths, scriptures, or interpretations. This notion has contributed not a little to the misfortunes of mankind in the world. The case is not far different with many of those that are called philosophers. Though they have not instigated men to cause bloodshed, as mere religionists have done and are still doing, yet they have made their followers delight rather in their own points of difference than in those of agreement. How then is a Hindu in any way better than a Mohammedan or a Christian? If truth or ultimate truth is something common to all minds, cannot be rationally reached, is not philosophic inquiry a wild goose chase, as so many modern and honest thinkers have held? Lastly, as regards truth, everyone, even a fool, thinks that what he knows is the truth. Swami said in reply, what you say may be true with regard to mere religion, mysticism, theology, or scholasticism, which are mistaken for philosophy. It may be so with the early or intermediate stages of philosophy, but Vedanta, particularly its philosophy, is something different. It starts with the very question you ask. It sets before itself the object of finding a truth free from all dispute and not opposed to any school of thought or religion or interpretation of scriptures. This is a text from the original text. Will come later on. This within quotation marks. Free from all dispute. Vedanta is a subject free from all dispute. Its truth is independent of sect, creed, color, race, sex, or belief, and it aims at what is equally good for all beings. That is the aim of Vedanta. Then I said that I would devote the whole of my life to the study of Vedanta, if the Swami would be so gracious as to introduce me to a Vedantin, past or present, that did not or does not claim superiority for his religion over others on the authority of his own scripture, who does not refuse to open the gates of his heaven those that differ from him, but who seeks only such philosophic truth as does not lead to differences among men. Immediately, the revered Guru quoted 3 verses from Gaudapada's Karikas, Karikas 2.1, 3.17, and 4.2, and explained them, the substance of which has been quoted above. If you want, he added, truth indisputable by anyone and truth beneficent to all men, nay to all beings, read and inwardly digest what Shankara's teacher's teacher, Gaudapada, says in his Karika. That is the first time he learned from this fundamental question of philosophy. After studying Gaudapada for a time, I turned to the Upanishad and the Brahma Sutras as interpreted by Shankara. Swami gave me all the guidance. 2000 years ago, Gaudapada anticipated what science is just beginning to guess in regard to causal relation, without a knowledge of which Vedanta can never be understood. The meaning of truth, which is still a matter of dispute among many philosophers, has been investigated by him more deeply than has yet been done by other thinkers. Write it like that. That is how he deals with it. Perception. Page 7. Much less does the West know of Gaudapada's method of complete eradication of ego or the personal self, a subject to the supreme importance of which Western science, not its philosophy or speculation, is just becoming alive. Swami Vivekananda says, can anything be attained with any shred of I left? Shankara says, the truth root of all obstacles in the pursuit of truth is the first form of ignorance called the ego. So long as one has any connection with the ego, wild as it is, there cannot be the least talk about liberation from ignorance. Yeah. He quotes J. Thomson. The validity of a scientific conclusion depends upon the elimination of the subjective element. What is most difficult of attainment and yet indispensable is distrust of our personal bias in forming judgments. how strongly this discipline is enforced on the seeker after truth in India may be gathered from what Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavatam. One should, yes. The essence of the teachings of the Hindu philosophy here is found in the following prayer of the great Sri Ramakrishna. One man says this, another man says that. O mother, pray tell me what the truth is, Ramakrishna said. So, V. Subramanya here, that is how he ends this first preface. Then Swami Vivekananda writes a long preface describing the importance of this book. So we finished Agama Prakarana. Now it comes to the second book, Vaitathya Prakarana. Vaitathya means unreality. The chapter dealing with the unreality of all duality. That is the chapter. Vaitathya, first book, first sloka. Om, salutation to Brahman. They begin like that first. The wise declare the unreality of all the objects seen in the dream. Everybody accepts it, isn't it? Objects seen in the dream are unreal. They are being located within the body, and on account of their being in a confined space. How can chariots be within me? How can horses and elephants be within me? That shows they are all unreal. Now see Shankara's commentary, how he begins. Om. It has been already said in the first Agama Prakarana. Duality does not exist when true knowledge arises. In physical science, we start with so many categories and we reduce them one by one until now 2 or 3 categories remain. Even that they want to overcome, make it into one. And this is borne out by such Sruti passages as, it, the Atman, is verily one and without a second. Ekameva advitiyam, one alone without a second. This is all based merely on the authority of the Shruti. All that is said so far, the first section, is based upon the scripture, on the Upanishads, on the Shruti. It is also equally possible to determine the unreality of duality through pure reasoning. And for this purpose is begun the second chapter, which commences with the words Vaitathyam, means unreality. Tathatvam, tatha means as it is. Vaitathyam, not as it is. That means unreality. Tatha is the word, tathyam means truth. Vaitathyam, untruth or unreality. The word Vaitathyam signifies the fact of his being unreal or false. Of what is this unreality predicated? Of all objects, both internal as in dream, and external, he says, internal and external as perceived in a dream. You have internal ideas, external objects in a dream. Both are unreal. It is thus declared by the wise, namely those who are experts in the use of the means of arriving at true knowledge. The reason for this unreality is stated thus. The objects perceived are found to be located within this body. All these entities, such as a mountain, an elephant, are perceived in the dream, are cognized there and not outside the body. Therefore, they must be regarded as unreal. That is the first verse. Then, a second reason also is given, the second verse. On account of the shortness of time, it is not possible for the dreamer to go out of the body and see the dream objects, nor does the dreamer, when he wakes up, find himself in the place seen in his dream. In his dream, he went to San Francisco. When he woke up, he was still in Sydney. Therefore, it is not real. That's how argument goes. That all that is perceived to exist in dreams is located in a limited space is a fact. Is not a fact. But a man sleeping in the East often finds himself, as it were, experiencing dreams in the North. Anticipating this objection, it is said, the dreamer does not go to another region outside his body where he experiences dream, for it is found that as soon as a man falls asleep, he experiences dream objects, as it were, at a place which is hundreds of yojanas away from his body. A yojana is something like 7 miles or so, an old calculation, which can be reached only in the course of a month in those days. The long period of time which is necessary to go to that region where dream objects are perceived, again to come back to the place where the sleeper lies, is not found to be an actual fact. So time sense also makes it unreal. Hence, on account of the shortness of time, the experience of the dream does not go to another region. Moreover, the dreamer, when he wakes up, does not find himself in the place where he experiences the dream. Had the man really gone to another place while dreaming and cognized or perceived the dream objects there, then he would have certainly woken up at that place. But this does not happen. They would have said, "We met you there today," but this does not happen. Therefore, one does not really go to another region in dream. These are all the actual statement of facts being expressed here. And to take one step more, that is the most long step you have to take. The next one more verse follows the same. Following reason, Shruti declares the non-existence of the chariots, etc., perceived in the dream. Therefore, it is said by the wise that Shruti itself declares the illusoriness of the dream experiences established by reason. Reason says it is unreal. Shruti also says it is unreal. Objects in dream. Different objects cognized in dream are illusory on account of their being perceived to exist. Now we go one step ahead in simple logic. Objects cognized in a dream are unreal. Why? Because they are perceived to exist as objects. In the dream, the objects are unreal. Subject alone is real. Mind. That aspect of the whole subject is taken now. Objects seen are unreal. The seer is real in the dream. For the same reason, one jump, the objects seen in the waking state are illusory. You see? That is the logic. The nature of objects is the same in the waking state and the dream state. The only difference is the limitation of space. One is external, one is internal. Here comes the Shankara's commentary giving a logical form to this statement. The proposition is to be established. What is that? The illusoriness of objects that are perceived in the waking state. We want to establish that truth. Perceived. To be perceived is to be unreal. We are taking that as the fact of the dream experience. Dream experiences are unreal because they are perceived. The perceiver alone is real. They are like the objects that are perceived in dream in the illustration given. As the objects perceived to exist in dream are illusory, so also the objects perceived in the waking state. The common feature of being perceived, being drishyam, objects of perception, is a relation, upanaya, between the illustration given and the proposition taken for consideration. Therefore, the illusoriness is admitted of objects that are perceived to exist in the waking state. This is what is known as the reiteration of the proposition or the conclusion of a syllogism. The objects perceived to exist in the dream are different from those perceived in the waking state in respect of their being perceived in a limited space within the body. Fact of being seen is common to both. That is the common feature of dream and waking. Thoughtful persons speak of the sameness of the waking and dream states on account of similarity of objects perceived in both the states on grounds already described. This is called being seen. Anything that is seen is a perishable entity. It changes, it dies, it is unreal. What do you say? There? Huh? When we were having this class, some Swamis objected, this is not correct, logical, it's a logism. Then we invited a professor of logic of the Mysore Science College. He came. He said, this is perfectly logical syllogism. You take a common feature and regard the whole subject. Being seen is the subject. This is being seen, that is being seen. Being seen is unreal. Therefore, waking objects are unreal. Logically, it is perfectly correct. The conclusion follows from the proposition. In syllogism.
By the external eye, what you see from your spiritual eye, not real.
No, there is no spiritual eye, only mental eye.
The antardhyana is the spiritual eye.
All seeing, all objects are unreal. We are going to make a big proposition. All objects are unreal because they are seen. As in the dream, example is given. So waking objects are unreal. Logically, it is perfectly correct. A proposition leading to a conclusion.
It's completely illogical.
No. You see, it's a logism, you see. It's a logism. Socrates is mortal. All men are mortal. Therefore, Socrates is a man. Socrates is mortal. You take mortality. And then arrive at a conclusion for the many to the one.
But your first premise of if something...
That is the meaning of syllogism. If the premise is accepted, conclusion is bound to follow.
But I don't see the first premises.
Yes, but here the premise is being seen is common feature. Seen as an object. This logic says being an object is unreality.
Because it's constantly changing and impermanent.
Exactly. See, as I told you, when you
Every day it's the same, pretty much.
in dream also, in dream don't you live several days and you see the same world every day? Tell me. Same world you see in the dream every day.
No, Swamiji, the problem is, as you know...
You went to bed, you got up, you met the people, you ate the food. Same world. Perfectly logical is the dream. Dream is a waking state for the dreamer, isn't it?
But every night you don't go into the same world. It's different every time. It's different
You are
every
speaking as a waking subject. A waking subject with a waking world. Dream subject with a dream world. Dream food doesn't satisfy the waking stomach. And waking stomach doesn't satisfy the dream stomach. Isn't it so? Suppose you eat well and dream that you are hungry. What has happened to your stomach? Stomach is full, but you are dreaming you are hungry.
I've never dreamt of.
You have never dreamed like that?
I think you did dream.
A poor man doesn't dream he is rich. Tell me. Poor man doesn't dream he is rich. Huh?
We are analyzing this in the waking world, not in the dream world, but we are mixing the two worlds together in a logic.
Exactly. You must have independent. This is an independent state, that's an independent state. Where an ego presides over here, another ego presides over there. It's not the same self that is in both. Waking self and dream self. Two different selves. And both are experiencing waking. Isn't that? Dream is a waking state, isn't it? Tell me. To the dreamer, dream is a waking state. Does he say he's dreaming? It is a waking state. This is also a waking state. In that waking state, whatever is seen is unreal. We extend it to this also. But this is only part way. This is unreal. But what is real, we are going to show you. The next chapter is for that. If this is unreal, what is real? The perceiver is the real. The observer, the perceiver. It is to this modern scientific thought is slowly tending in that way. What are these electrons and protons and these particles? Momentary, not even a fraction of a second. They are all there. And with a thick sensory system, you see everything is real. You can touch it. See, this is called real. Touching. Tangibility. But in touching also you get in dream. You touch and fully touch. And it is real. And it evaporates.
And even in dream you share experiences with other people because, as Sumitra said, that's the dream experience.
No, well, one thing is it. I am attached to my waking things. Then that attachment, you can't see the truth of the other experience. Attachment should not be there. See the truth as it is, detached mind. I am attached to this world which I am handling every day. Then you don't get at the truth. Remove attachment, see thing as it is. then a different conclusion will come. The whole of it is coming hereafter, one after the other.
How can we see it as it is if it doesn't exist
Hmm?
in itself?
When you are in dream, don't you say, suppose somebody told you, this thing doesn't exist, you will protest there. Certainly you will protest. And we are protesting here also.
But you can predict things in the waking state. You can't predict anything in the dream.
You are predicting in the dream state. Plenty of predictions you do there.
Well, I can't predict what state I'll be in.
That prediction is for that state, this prediction for this state. And this prediction doesn't apply for the dream state.
But then, so how can you use logic from the dream in
Exactly. This logic functions only in this state.
But you're using it.
Waking logic is only for the way. We are discussing two states and their coordination. Therefore, you use it. In dream also you have logic. The
Then
dreamer
how can you
also.
say, well, if this is true in a dream, it must be true in the waking state. I can't say you can do that at all.
Objects. We are in search of truth. Why we say the dream objects are unreal? They are perishable. They are passing. All these things we say they are unreal. All right. I say waking objects are unreal. When I consider the whole thing is perishable, but this will be in relation to what is really imperishable. There comes the Atma as the perceiver. He is imperishable. These things change. Waking becomes dream, dream becomes sleep, changing constantly. And then you come to who is the real perceiver. That perceiver is the constant reality. No change. To arrive at that, you start with this.
Doesn't it all hinge on what you mean by real and unreal?
Yeah.
Of course,
you really have to
that
define
definition
those
will come.
terms.
That definition will come in this very text, it will come. That which is constantly changing is unreal.
Well, if that's your definition, I don't think that there's any argument, is there?
There is no argument at all then. Vedanta only says what is constantly changing is unreal. That's all. And did I not quote from Einstein? These molecular structures, the particles, and then the field. These are all unreal. That alone is real. He said that. The field alone is real. Not a temporary manifestation of the field in particles or in molecular structures. What to do? Science leads you to this trouble. That I quoted Bertrand Russell. In whatever we see only ourselves. Why did he say that?
That seems more logical than this.
He is an agnostic. He is not a Vedantin. An agnostic is compelled to say because of science. Science tells you these propositions. Yeah. Genes in that book. Substantiality is a mental concept. It tells you the impinging of an object on your sense of touch. But can this be that criterion of reality? He asks. Air you cannot touch like this, and yet it is real. Many things you cannot touch, it is real. Substantiality cannot be the main criterion of reality. Nobody has touched an electron. How do you say like that? I am telling you, the break from the classical to the modern physics is not an adjustment, it's a complete break. If you take that message, the Upanishad copy you keep here, a passage from Eisenberg, I will show you. It is not an adjustment, it is a complete break. You must remove this human spectacle. What does it mean? This waking state, prejudice must go. We have got a waking state prejudice. Even Freud pricked on that waking state prejudice. See that? It is a prejudice of the waking state. Tyranny. That's all. Everything in terms of this. How can it be? This enlightened reason of the waking state, how far is it? The moment he goes to sleep, a man says, I am a proud fellow, I am this. When he goes to sleep, a child spits on his face, he cannot protest. Can he protest? Tell me. Tell me that. What has happened to that big ego that was there? Huh?
Well, it's all very complicated because just a moment.
So it is complicated, meaning thereby the world which you have conjured with the waking state is slowly dissolving and you are afraid of it. Huh? My familiar things are all going. The familiar landmark is going. Physics has destroyed the familiar landmark. You bring a copy of message to the Upanishads. I will show you what Heisenberg says. We have to respect what these scientists say. Though they tell you many things very shocking. It is shocking to say time separate, to dream the space separate doesn't exist. What exists is the time-space. Then you are no more the familiar world. Unfamiliar world you come to at that stage. I'll just give you this Heisenberg's statement here. That's very interesting. So if science and this, they go together. HEI. Yes. Physics and philosophy. 32. Come on. Page 169 of Physics and Philosophy by Heisenberg. The 19th century developed an extremely rigid frame for natural science, which formed not only science, but also the general outlook of great masses of people, you and I. Our outlook was formed by classical science. This frame was supported by the fundamental concepts of classical physics: space, time, matter, causality. These four principles. The concept of reality applied to the things or events that we could perceive by our senses, or that could be observed by means of the refined tools that technical science had provided. That's reality. This table, this chair, this thing, that things are all real to us. That is classical physics. Matter was the primary reality. You see that? Classical physics means waking state physics. Remember that. Classical physics means waking state physics. Yes. The progress of science was pictured as a crusade of conquest into the material world. Utility was the watchword of the time. Well, it works. I can eat, I can drink, nice things are there. But this can apply in dream also. I can eat, I can drink, and be happy. Isn't it? More intensively than here sometime in dream. Here this reason is a troublesome fellow, in dream that is not a waking reason. This frame was so narrow and rigid, see that it was difficult to find a place in it for many concepts of our language that had always belonged to its very substance. For instance, the concepts of mind, human soul, or of life could find no place in Newton's classical physics. Saying this, he says further, the breakdown of this rigid framework of classical physics became inevitable at the end of the 19th century with the discovery of a mass of new facts regarding the physical world, more especially the subatomic world. Development of the quantum and relativity theories accelerated this process through the early decades of the 20th century until the old framework became utterly untenable. The waking framework became untenable. That's the meaning of this. The most revolutionary aspect of this change lay in repudiating the exclusively objective character of the so-called objective worlds studied by science. Objective world, we say that. Common sense, not science. You are saying from the common sense point of view. I am right. Yeah, common sense is perfectly true. And the change of reality of concept came as a result of this change. So Heisenberg again continues, it is in quantum theory that the most fundamental changes with respect to the concept of reality have taken place. And in quantum theory in its final form, the new ideas of atomic physics are concentrated and crystallized. But a change in the concept of reality manifesting itself in quantum theory is not simply a continuation of the past. It seems to be a real break in the structure of modern science. So what will you say? If the waking state is now a crack, are you putting another waking state there? It's all the same. The whole thing is evaluated afresh. To what extent then have you really come to an objective description of the world, especially of the atomic world? In classical physics, science started from the belief